Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I stated in some of my previous videos that I expect, according to my assessments, to hear more about more foreigners being killed in, I was about to say Iraq again, in Ukraine. And I don't know if this is happening right now, but lately there were some Americans being killed and others. They're all volunteers, obviously, and again, I suspect these volunteers actually are not volunteers, are just volunteers on the paper. But again, this is just my gut feeling and experience that makes me think that way. I don't have the evidence, but the evidence that I have is another American being killed near Bakhmut. I covered this piece of information, this article yesterday, and today I have some details on how he was eliminated by the evil Russians near Bakhmut. He was an ex-Marine, and this is the article that I covered yesterday. I don't know if you watched it or not, but it was based on this article coming from Ukrainska Pravda, a US volunteer killed in action near Bakhmut. And this is the guy right here. He was an ex-Marine. I think he was like a 27 or something like that, 26 years old. Cooper Harris Andrews, reportedly a former Marine. Now, I have another article from today. I think it's from today. And this is what happened to this poor Andrews. I don't want to say poor, but volunteer. Military news, ambushed, quote-unquote, former Marine is latest veteran killed in Ukraine war. So this guy, where is he? I'm thinking, right? Ex-Marine was killed by these guys in an ambush. So let's see what they tell us about this incident. A Marine veteran was killed last week in an eastern Ukrainian city where the country's military has been locked for months in intense fighting with Russian forces, according to multiple sources. So here we have him. Cooper Harris Andrews, 26, was killed in Bakhmut, where he was ambushed by Russian forces while defending evacuees. Journalist Jake Hanrahan tweeted Sunday on Twitter. Hanrahan said Andrews was killed alongside other quote-unquote fighters and was a member of Popular Front, a grassroots conflict journalism platform. So CNN citing Andrews' mother reported Monday that he was hit by a mortar on what Ukrainians call the Road of Life because it is used to resupply its forces and evacuate civilians. I don't know what civilians are still there. About 2 months ago, there were about 6,000 civilians, according to Ukrainians. So I don't know what those guys are doing over there. But hey, if their military wants to defend them inside the city limits, well, that's where the Russians will look for them. So I guess they choose the place where they're gonna be fighting, which is the city of Bakhmut. Yes, I hold responsible not only the Russians for unprovoked attack on Ukraine, but also the commanders who decided to defend something that was undefendable, which is fighting among civilians in a city, in a guerrilla war inside over there. So urban warfare. They choose it, not the Russians. The Russians are evil enough. These guys could have chosen to fight outside of Bakhmut or around Bakhmut and consider Bakhmut an open city and would not have been harmed. I'm not only guessing, but at least we see what's going on right now and we see if this alternative is better. Anyway, I'm not in command there. I don't know what's going on. I don't have the whole picture. But anyway, I still support the idea, my claim, that the place you choose to fight, in this case, inside the city limits of Bakhmut, and not only, I can't just point my finger on the evil Russians. Okay, they're evil, all right? Let's put it this way, all right? But you can change what's under their command. All you can change is your behavior. You're in control of your behavior. So if you defended the city, like right now, what the fuck are you defending there? Anyway, pardon my foul language here, but I get irritated when these guys are just they're defending. You know that medical personnel, I don't know, rule, I would say it, you know, do no harm, cause no harm, or cause no more harm than it is already. So if I have something with my finger, I'm not going to cut the whole hand and say, I fixed a little problem with the finger. You had a little splinter in there. So I fixed it. This is kind of like the Ukrainians did in my assessment. You know, don't cause more damage with what? Yeah, their goal was to eliminate more Russians coming in. Okay, but in the meantime, do you see what happened over there? Let's say the Ukrainians would not have defended Bakhmut. Let's say they would have been around, tried to stop, prevent over there, fight like a normal war. Bakhmut would have been just bombed and raped and destroyed. If yes, well, that's a scenario. And we know what happened right now. What else? I think anything else was better than what's going on right now over there. Anything else? I mean, it's only one other, how should I put it, straight. It's only one other options worse than what's going on over there. An atomic bomb over that and flatten out. That's all. That's all that would be worse than that. And I can think of many other scenarios that could have been better scenarios and could have been in the Ukrainians' control. Okay? So put the Russians aside. Consider them criminals. Consider them however you want. What can you control? Well, your decisions. So refugees, what refugees? What people who want to leave Bakhmut? They're already done. As I said, about 2 months ago, or maybe more, there were about 6,500, according to Ukrainians, people in Bakhmut, civilians. Why? From about, I don't know, like 80,000, the total population. The whole town is in ruin. What are they defending exactly? Their country? Again, cause no more harm that's already done. So yes, I think when we're going to have a clearer mind about this war, and we're going to have a little, I don't know, intellectual honesty, we can look and say, wait a second, yes, that was a decision, but on the same time, you know what I mean? Look, for instance, at Harry Truman's atomic bomb little detonation in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Remember those two incidents. Even if, because that's how BBC reported it. I heard the broadcast that was then. I was not alive, obviously, but I got it. So I heard how BBC reported that incident. The Americans dropped an atomic bomb over military installations in Hiroshima. Yeah? All right, let's say there were some military installations in Hiroshima, which probably there were. Where was the bomb thrown? Over the dome, right on the center, boom. So yeah, you destroyed 20 military and 5 rifles and 1 motorcycle. But then you wiped out a city. So when you say, well, we did this to destroy those military infrastructure, military blah blah. Yeah, that's this. And you caused this? Alright, so the same here. Yes, we fight the Russian, we defend. How? Do you cause more harm? I think so. It's bad enough that the evil Russians are attacking and doing what they do and kill civilians. You stay over there and you do what? I think that's not. I think that's my way of seeing this kind of situation. And I'm talking about civilians. I'm not ignoring the evil Russians. I'm going to use evil so people don't grab, oh, you're trying to shift responsibility. No, I'm trying to look at both sides and all sides. They're fighting in Bakhmut not because the Russians wanted to blow up those guys, okay? They fight in Bakhmut because those guys choose to defend Bakhmut, which they defended, okay. No, those guys destroyed some military installations in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Do you agree with that? If you agree with that, then the Russians, to shorten the war and save their men, should do the same thing as Harry Truman, and that was the argumentation. That was the justification coming from the Americans when they dropped the atomic bomb in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and they would have not stopped there. That's another point that people are missing. They said we'll bomb each and every big town, city in Japan if Japan doesn't surrender unconditionally. That's it. Why? Because those guys talked with the Soviets. In the same time, hey, maybe we are going to, surrender to you. No, you can't do that. We need Japan. Well, there's a lot of things over there. It's not me. Read history. So they would have bombed next and next and next. So it was not about military. How do you call that? How do you call this kind of activity? And said what? We shortened the war. We just saved our boys' lives by blowing up Japanese civilians. Is that the logic? I mean, setting aside who's the aggressor and who's not the aggressor is the act that it is. It's not that someone attacks me and I'm going to go and rape that someone's wife because he attacked me. You know what I mean? And if I rape his wife, then he's going to stop fighting me. Is that how it goes? Is that how it goes? So don't tell me, well, we bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki because we had to shorten the war and save our boys' lives. Well, then, remember my analogy right here. That means the Russians could do the same thing. Being evil as they are, if they want to really, really shorten the war and stop the war, and if they really want to, save their boys' lives, should they follow Harry Truman's example? Of course not. But then, call it a spade. A spade. Don't call it this and that. What it is, it is. So, yes, this Andrew was ambushed over there, and by, trying to escort people outside, civilians outside of the city. There's no such a thing as a perfect human being. You know that in certain conditions we react in certain ways. We forget about our education, our moral, our values, as soon as we are in certain circumstances. Some of us may do it later, but we will do it eventually because it's going to kick the survival instinct. When you have the survival instinct, you're going to just close your eyes and you're just going to do what you need to do to save your skin. Unless you're just going to be, okay, now kill me, which is, now we're going to go to the other side of the story, which we go to martyrdom and other things, which, yeah, there are martyrs over there. Anyway, so this poor guy died over there, ambushed. I think Bakhmut should have been avoided. The whole war in Ukraine should be avoided. Could have been avoided. I think there were big interests at play over here. And I'm not thinking only of Russians as we are supposed to. Think about outside Russia. Big interest for what's going on in Ukraine to kind of happen. And the evidence is, you can find it. Am I going to say it here? No, because these guys are just going to sanction me. Because that's how it is in the free world. You say the wrong thing, that it's a different take on things. Oh no, you can't use your brain. We give you. That happened in college. When I attended college in Romania, I had it was in analyzing the literary work of a famous or important Romanian poet. Actually, it was the national poet, which was Mihai Eminescu. And as a student, I thought that, let's discuss things. This is my interpretation of his literary work, and specifically this poem that we were analyzing. And we were supposed to analyze it in one way only. Why? Because someone in 1880 or 1870 or 1890 or 1905, he wrote a thesis on how this should be interpreted. And that's it. That's the bottom line. You couldn't add anything, you can't subtract anything. So, being naive and think philosophical and being, open-minded, I said, okay, this is how I see these things. I see this one, I analyze this verse this way, I analyze this, I think it's this, symbolistic, and so on. And you know what my professor said? Mr. Kosman, do you have a PhD? No. Well, then, when you're going to have a PhD and you're going to have a, how did he say it was a term? Academician. Then maybe you can analyze Mihai Eminescu's literary work and this poem the way you think it should be. Until now, I'm the professor, you're the student, sit down and you listen to how you should interpret it. So this was then, and it was not in the communist times, but that was the mentality, and still is. So the same here. No. You can't think about Russian invasion differently than being unprovoked, evil criminals wanting to take over Europe and the values and blah blah blah. Freedom and democracy will end because Putin didn't have a hard-on the 24th of February 2022. If you think something above 86 IQ, then you are a threat, and we're going to take care of you. How? Nobody will hear you again. Your stupid interpretation of war. This is the world we live in. And we're supposed to keep our mouth shut, go in work, drink our beer, watch the stupid games on the TV, pay our taxes, and most of all, consume. Consume and live on debt. This is it. If you don't do that, you're a bad payer. Remember how you build credit here? By consuming. If you don't consume anything, your credit is not going to go as high. If you don't use your credit card, if you're not in debt somehow, your credit score will not get that high. You need to do that. That's an incentive of the capitalist system, rotten capitalism. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.